Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is your Vedic Astrology coach Rahat Kapoor and welcome to my channel The Legit Astrologer. In my channel I make videos on Vedic Astrology, I talk about transits. Today I am making a very unique video because I received a few queries from people who asked me that Navamsa or the D9 chart, does this chart gets activated after marriage? Is this the chart which is most active during the midlife? Does it take care of the second half of life? Does it get activated post 30 years of age? There's a lot of misinformation that is being there over the internet, on media platforms, and even on YouTube. Today I am here to uncover this misinformation and share with you Navamsa or D9 chart is the most important divisional chart. We can see birth circumstances from this chart. I am very soon introducing Navamsa based specific readings on my website. In case you're keen and interested for it, you can write to me, you can connect via my website, and I can share with you further details with regards to this specific reading on Navamsa. I recently concluded an advanced course on Navamsa or D9 chart, which consisted of 8 live sessions. Each session was 2 hours long. So in total of 16 hours of content is what we practiced. This was the time which took to cover Navamsa till great extent. There were many surprises for my 12 students who were there from across the globe. One of the biggest things that took them by surprise was the fact that we can study the birth circumstances, Janma, or your situation at birth from Navamsa. Therefore, Navamsa or the D9 chart is active since day 1 of the birth, and it plays a very important role in the destiny factor. Destiny factor which is concerned to each and every activity. For example, the first house of the D1 chart or Rashi chart, it is about yourself, your body, your vitality, your immunity. It is who you are, that is your Lagna. The first house of the D9 chart or the Navamsa chart is indicative of Swabala, or it is self-strength. That indicates the destiny factor of your intelligence, of your decision making, whether that will fructify or not. The real strengths of the planet is seen by the Navamsa chart. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about the birth circumstances. I will also share with you some sample charts. I have 5 sample charts that I'll present to you to make this learning even more interesting for you. Birth is the first event of life, and details pertaining to birth are seen from the Navamsa Lagna or the first house of the Navamsa chart, under what circumstances you were born, whether it was a challenging circumstances or you were born with no complications. We do have premature birth conditions. We do have conditions where there is an issue with the umbilical cord or it is tied around the neck. We do have birth conditions where there is a C-section or cesarean. There are conditions where forceps are used, where equipments are used. There is also delayed pregnancy or delayed birth. And of course, there are certain complications to the birth of the child, and that is all seen by the ascendant in the Navamsa Lagna. Now the D1 or the natal chart only indicates those things, people, events and environment that is associated to the birth, which means it indicates doctors, nurses, the situation, the environment, the room, the bed, the lighting, equipments that are used. But the circumstances, whether it's a healthy birth or it's a complicated birth, is seen from the Navamsa ascendant or the first house of the Navamsa. So there is a life event. Birth is also an event. It is the first event of the life, and the circumstances are seen from the Navamsa Lagna, and if we match it with the D1, it provides material background for manifestation. Similarly, manifestation of all events in life are seen from different houses of Navamsa, and the real strength of the planet is determined by the placement in Navamsa. So some important points before I move into sample charts. Delivery is studied from Navamsa Lagna, which is the first house of Navamsa. Benefic planets will indicate comfort, protection. Malefic planets such as Saturn, Rahu, Ketu could indicate complications. Moon is the significator of baby delivery and also of motherhood. Therefore, it becomes the #1 protective force in the Navamsa chart. Rahu and Ketu, the lunar nodes, the shadowy planets, indicates dangers. These dangers could be related to entanglement or blockage of passage leading to delayed birth or certain instruments being used at birth, which is forceps, and of course other instruments if nodes are involved. And if Rahu or Ketu is placed in the first house of the Navamsha ascendant or the Lagna, one has to be careful during the first year of birth with regards to dangerous circumstances or situations in life. If there is an influence of Saturn in the Navamsha Lagna by placement or aspect, Saturn is a very dry planet. It's a cold planet. It also indicates delay. So this could cause delay in delivery and certain complications that could be studied, which are mostly associated to delay and also the cold nature of Saturn. Mars connected to Navamsha ascendant or influencing by aspect can cause accidents, can cause use of instruments such as forceps, knife, surgeries. So cesarean or C-section could be seen by the influence of Mars. Moon and Venus, these are the two planets that rule Jala Tattva or water element. Venus rules river, pure water. Moon rules oceans. Water gives us sustenance. Therefore, these two planets become the most important protectors, not only for delivery but for the subsequent life as well. So their influence on the Lagna or important houses in Navamsha, there are blessings of goddess Durga throughout the life. Mercury's influence on Navamsha Lagna, the first house, or by aspect also indicates protection, and there are blessings of Lord Vishnu. Jupiter, the most benefic planet, is the best protector, and that shows perfect, calm, well-timed, natural delivery. There are blessings of Lord Shiva, and its influence on the ascendant by placement or aspect is bringing huge protection. Before I move on to sample charts, we must remember that which protects at birth will always protect, and that which destroys or causes obstruction at birth will always have the capacity to cause harm. Now let's have a look at these sample charts to apply what we have learned in the most efficient manner. I'm going to give you additional insight with regards to the Navamsha chart. Let us begin with the first case study here of Gabriel Garcia, who's an author, a Colombian author, and also a Nobel Prize winner. He had a challenging birth circumstances in terms of the umbilical cord wrapping around the neck and causing a specific threat during his birth. Rahu is in Navamsha Lagna, as you see, sitting in the ascendant, and the lord of his Navamsha Lagna is Moon, which is in the debilitation sign. Jupiter's aspect is there in the Lagna, that is causing protection. Venus is there in the Lagna, which is causing protection. But due to Rahu being there, it did create a challenging circumstances during birth, which shows choking due to the umbilical cord. Now, certain other factors which are important in terms of his chart. Moon is also aspected by Saturn. So there is a certain affliction on the Navamsha Lagna Lord as well. And later, during his Saturn Mercury period, it also led to chronic illness. There was cancer that caused on his leg, which resulted in his death as well. Now, we must understand that Venus in Navamsha helps in survival because it brings great protection. So there is certain affliction in Navamsha. Rahu is there. It is aspected by Mars by the fourth aspect, and there is protection by Jupiter as well by the ninth aspect, and Venus being present here. Birth circumstances remain challenging, but somehow you manage to survive. Jupiter's aspect is giving great protection here. Now, he became a great author with two benefics in trine, that is Venus as well as Jupiter. Mercury and Moon are also in trines, so technically he has four benefic planets in trines. During the Jupiter-Venus period in 1982, he won the Nobel Prize. Let's take a look at another example which is very relevant in our times as well, in the current times. Nick Vujicic, who is an author and a speaker, a very popular motivational speaker. He has written books as well. He was born in a condition that affected his limbs. He was basically born without limbs. Now, if you see, Mars and Rahu are placed in his Navamsha Lagna. Mars is a fiery planet, Rahu is wind. So when fire and wind come together, it ignites the fire. His ascendant lord of Navamsha, that is Saturn, is in the 12th house, which is again a dreadful position, and it is conjoined with Surya. Again, fiery energies. Now, in his case, he was born with Testra Amelia syndrome, or he was born without limbs due to this syndrome. So he did not have his hands and legs, basically. Jupiter's aspect on the Navamsha Lagna does give protection. So, in spite of such challenging birth circumstances, he still managed to survive. He became a motivational speaker. His initial interest rose at the age of 13. Thereafter, at the age of 17, this interest became quite prevalent. This was during its Saturn Mercury and Saturn Venus periods. Now, Venus and Mercury are sitting in the second house of Navamsha because they become trinal lords of Navamsha. So, this yoga does become very favorable when it comes to fortune that is related to your speech, public speaking. He became the best selling author for the book Life Without Limbs. That was in 2005. This was during his Saturn Rahu period. So, the Saturn Rahu period, what he did, he turned his weakness at his birth to his strength. That is something which he was able to successfully convert. And of course, that led to fame as well, that led to recognition. He's a very popular motivational speaker. He's also acted in television shows and won the Best Actor Award for a short film in 2009. And this was during his Saturn Jupiter period. Saturn becomes the Lagna Lord of the first house of Navamsha. So, Saturn periods does indicate that it could bring name, fame, recognition, power, and of course, a mass following as well. Let us now look at our third case study. This is Frida Kahlo, Mexican artist. She was born with a condition called spina bifida. Now, if you look at her Navamsha chart, there is Sun in Navamsha Lagna, and that is exalted, and it is Agni Tattva. Sun is being aspected by Mars, who is retrograde, and also Venus. Mars has a very strong aspect over Sun, and at the same time, the Lord of the Navamsha Lagna is in Marankarak position. It is in a death-like position here. Saturn is in trines to the Navamsha Lagna. So when Saturn is in trines to the Navamsha Lagna is lorded by Mars, and Mars is aspecting, and Saturn also has a third aspect on Mars. This affects the strength of the body, particularly your spine and legs. Such was her condition during birth. A very challenging condition. Venus aspecting the Navamsha Lagna and an exalted sun is definitely giving that protection. She was born during the Surya Dasha. Surya is exalted in her Navamsha chart. So this chart is supposed to achieve name, fame, and a more long-lasting fame, leaving a legacy, and such is her legacy. At 6 years of age, she also contracted polio, damaging her right leg. This was during the Moon and Saturn period. So you again see the involvement of Saturn in terms of affecting her legs. Saturn does affect legs, bones, and of course, the structural condition of the body that could be deteriorated due to certain affliction of Saturn. At the age of 18, she met with a life-threatening bus accident which made her bedridden for 18 months. Now, the dasha that she was running was Mars and Moon, which was towards the end of her Mars dasha, and she was moving to her Rahu dasha, that is sitting in the fourth house of the Navamsha chart. Now, her fourth lord of Navamsha, Moon, has gone in the 12th house, which is very detrimental. This can lead to dangerous situations during its dasha as well as antadashas, and this happened in Mars and Moon period and the start of Rahu phase. Due to these detrimental conditions, she was bedridden, but she was able to recover because there is power and there is also protection in her Navamsha chart, which made her recover, and the rest is history. Now, after her recovery, she became the most iconic Mexican painter of her time with a legacy. A long lasting legacy is what she created because of the virtue of power and authority sitting in her Navamsha Lagna and the great protection of Venus. Let us look at our next case study, who is Andrea Bocelli, singer. He was visually impaired at birth. Now, Rahu is sitting in his Navamsha Lagna or the ascendant in the D9 chart. Sun and Saturn have made a conjunction in trines to the Navamsha Lagna. Now, the biggest protection is also Venus, who is the Navamsha Lagna Lord, sitting in Navamsha Lagna itself. So, due to the effects in the trinal houses, certain malefic influences, it indicates dangerous situation at birth, and he left visually impaired. Now, there are certain interesting facts about his condition. That leads to being visually impaired at birth. He lost his eyesight completely in a football accident. This happened towards the end of his Sun Dasha in the Sun and Venus period. His mother decided to give him birth, which was against the recommendation of the doctors. Now, you see, another protective factors that I mentioned at the beginning of the video is Moon sitting in his fourth house of the Navamsha Lagna, which gives great protection, not only at birth, but after birth as well. In spite of facing all odds, Venus and Moon are the best protectors. This is an example chart that has the blessings of Goddess Durga and which remains throughout. Because if they will protect at birth, they will have the capacity to protect throughout the life. Planets placed in the trinal houses of Navamsha are very important because that give you ability. So here Sun gives rhythm, the ability for music, musical instruments. He was an Italian tenor. Venus gives performing arts capability and Saturn gives a lot of hard work, a lot of labor. Venus strong in trines in Navamsha gives ability for performing arts, which I have already shared with you. And that is also great for name, fame, as well as recognition. And our last and the most interesting case is Stevie Wonder, songwriter and musician. He had a premature birth condition. So here I have his Navamsha chart and I also have his birth chart here. So the Navamsha Lagna Lord, if you see, he's Gemini in his Navamsha rising. Lagna Lord has gone into the 8th house, that is Mercury. It is conjoined with Jupiter, that is giving some protection. All right. Now the Lagna is also aspected by Rahu, by the ninth aspect. Sun and Mars are also aspecting the Navamsha Lagna. So there is fire and there is wind energy as well, leading to complicated situation. And Saturn itself is sitting in the 4th house, which though should indicate delay, but this Saturn is retrograde. So it will work opposite, leading to premature condition. He was born in the Mercury Rahu period. That also signifies certain challenges. Now, in spite of these challenges, he was able to survive. Moon in Navamsha trines give ability for music, singing, and also huge followership. Huge people who would follow you, you would leave a mark, leave a legacy, and of course, be able to create that impression on masses. One of the best selling music artists of all time, he has 25 Grammy Awards in his name. He rose to success in his Venus Dasha. I recall one of his albums had about 100 million in sales. He sold 100 million records of one of his albums and he rose to fame in his Venus Dasha at a very early age. Since the age of 12, 13, his Venus Dasha started and Venus is exalted in his Rashi chart, in his Lagna chart in 7th house and it's a Karagraha for both the Lagna chart and also for the Navamsha chart. Venus also rules the age between 12 to 32 years based on Naisargic Dasha system. So his Venus is exalted. This chart is indicative of early success, early fame that very well happened in his life. Navamsha also has a powerful Adi Yoga with Venus, Jupiter, and Mercury placed in the 6th, 7th, and 8th houses of the divisional chart, leading to a very powerful Adi Yoga that gives lasting fame. And such is his case. I hope you like this unique video on Navamsha and how to study birth circumstances and other factors using the most important division chart, that is Navamsha chart. Stay tuned for more such videos on my channel. Thank you very much. God bless you all.